In this video, we're going to start going over our content, building out our pages and our posts, as well as going through how to upload images and set up galleries, and a lot of the other detail work that needs to be done. So in the past few videos, we got our appearance done, and I'm going to open this up in a new tab. We got our header in place, we got our menus, sidebars are kind of in place, we need to work on those. But there's really no content in this. So under the About and the Contact, nothing here. So now we got to start building this out. We're going to start with pages first. Now there's pages and posts. Pages are static. So the home page, which is welcome, is static. There's nothing that changes on a daily basis or when we post something. We would have to go in and manually edit this. Under the flowers, trees, and animals, these are categories. And so if you remember, we set up the categories. Now we need to put in some content to fill them in. So if I go to flowers, nothing appears. All we get is a category. We actually have one, I'm sorry. We have Hello World, which is our default. So all of these we're going to need to get in some content. And then under About, we need to put in some text. This is static page, and Contact's a static page as well. So what we're going to do is go through. So I'm going to go to Pages. We have our 3 pages. Remember, welcome was set as our front page. We did that in one of our previous videos. So our main home page is a static page. And we're going to start with that one. Now on the pages layout here, we could do some bulk actions. I could select them all and either edit them all or move them to trash. I can sort by dates. You can also go by SEO. This actually has to do with our SEO plugin that we installed in the last video. We have some cornerstone articles. We'll talk about those here in a little while, but these are basically articles that are the main ones in our site. They could be a page or a post. This actually comes from our SEO plugin. We can also do a quick edit. We can change a few things here. We can change the title, the slug. The slug is what we see up here. In this case, the slug for the contact page is contact. We can change the date. So all of our pages and posts have a date that they've been turned on. We can also set a password just for this page, or we can set it to private. What that means is only people who are logged in with a username and password could see it if it was private. We can allow comments here. We have parents and children. So if I wanted this page to come under About, I would select About as the parent, and our welcome page would be underneath it. We can turn on comments from here, and we could turn off and send it to a draft so no one sees it. Or in this case, it's published, and we can do pending review. And basically what pending review is, if we had people, users, who were coming in and adding content, but at a subscriber level or an editor level, or I'm sorry, a contributor level, what it would do is they can't post live to the site. So it will either go to draft, or in the case of pending review, then an administrator or an editor would have to come in and set it. So that's the quick edit, but I want to go to the full edit. So I'm going to go to Welcome. And what I want to go through is the basic layout here, because both for a page and for posts, this layout doesn't change much. Post has a few other options, but for the most part, 99% of this is the same. So at the top, we can add a new page from here. It's just like coming over and doing add a new page. This is our title, so welcome. It's the same as our tab up here. If I'm on the home page, you'll see welcome dash Flowers of Kauai. We want to keep this short. Now the permalink, this is pointing to the home page. If you remember, we set this as our front page. So this is where the users would see it. Then we have add media. We've uploaded a few things in the past, and actually I need to delete a couple things here just because. We can do multiple selection. I just want to get rid of these. So you can see we can delete images we've uploaded. And the reason I'm deleting these is a little earlier I ran some tests. Just make sure we were caught up, and I don't need them just yet. We'll be uploading them in a minute, so I don't want to overwrite what's already here. So you probably have something similar to this. We've uploaded before. This is our media library. We can insert a gallery, which we'll do today. We can also set our featured image, which we'll go through, or we can insert from a URL. So if this was a link to an image on another site, we could put it in here. So that's our add media. We have an add form. Now this comes from our Ninja forms. We'll go over this when we do our contact page, but we have that in there. So let's talk about our basic formatting tools. So I'm going to throw a few more lines of test, just so we have something. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, but I'll come back and go through them in more depth when we get a little bit more text in here. So we can change our text from just basic paragraph. We have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, 4, 5, and 6, and pre-formatted. So if I choose heading 1, you'll notice it's a lot larger. These are our H1 through H6 tags in HTML. Just so you know, you can jump from our visual editor to text, and you'll see an H1 tag and an H1 close tag. This text falls between them. So what we get is header 1. We have a bold. I'll just use this line of text. Pretty straightforward. Italic. We can do bulleted lists. So if I selected both of these, I can do a bullet list or a numbered list. If you want to turn something off, you just click on it again. Then we have block quoting. So if we're doing a block quote and calling out something in the article, we have a line left, a line center, and a line right. We also have our insert edit link. So I can type in a URL, or I can type to search. If I want this to go to the contact page, I can send it to the contact page. Or if I wanted this to go to Google, I can put Google in here. I do have to click apply. That applies it. So now, whenever I click on a link, you get where it goes to. We can edit and we can remove. So I'll remove it, just like up here. Then I want to show you the more advanced. So if I go back and then click on options, I can type in the URL. I can link to the text. This is the text that shows up. Open in a new tab. We'll open it up in a new tab and not overwrite whatever's in the screen. And then I can search content, or I can select content. So if I want to go to the About page, I can do that and add the link. Now when I click, I can remove the link, or I can add it. I'll remove it for now. Then we have a read more tag. Now we don't use these on pages, but we do use them on posts. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail. But what it does, when we have a list of posts, if you don't put in the more tag, it will show the entire article and then the next one and the next one. The more tag is great maybe after one paragraph or maybe after an image in a paragraph, and it will actually say click here to read more. So wherever this is, that's what we end up with, the more tag. Now I don't need that. Then we have the toolbar. Yours may look like this. I'm sorry if it had both already open, but this is where we toggle our toolbar below. And this gives us strike through, the horizontal line, so strike through. If I put a return after, I can put an HR tag or a horizontal line tag. If we go over and look at the text, there it is, HR tag. Stands for horizontal rule. We can change the text color, but we can't change the font size. And that's because our site runs off of a theme. The theme sets the font sizes for the H1 tag. So all we have to do is tag or apply anything to our content, And when the browser loads it, it says, okay, here's the cascading style sheet or the CSS for this page. And it'll look up the H1 tag and say, oh, it's 32 point black, and it will apply it. So that's why we don't use font sizes. We let the overall layout decide that. Then we have paste as text. We'll go over this a little bit more, but when we're copying and pasting from other websites, we can bring over the formatting. Sometimes you just want raw text. We can clear the formatting. We also have special characters. So copyright, trademark. We have indent. This is the closest thing we have to a tab. We have undo, redo. There are some keyboard shortcuts if you want to learn them. And then we have some formats here again, the headings, inline, blocks, and alignment. Now the inline is important. If we had code that we want to show somebody, we could put it in here and apply code to it. You'll notice it puts in a gray box, and it's Courier is the font. That way the browser doesn't render it. If we go look at the text, oops, it'll actually say code. Now we went over the text and the visual tabs. We also have distraction-free writing. So if you want to turn everything else off, you can write, or if you float over, they'll reappear. I'll turn that back off. At the bottom, it gives us a word count, and it tells us when the draft was saved. If you notice I'm never saving anything, that's because WordPress automatically saves, and I don't have to worry about Command S or Control S to save my documents. Now at the bottom is our SEO. So this is what the plugin added, our WordPress SEO. And for the most part, you can read up on the readability. I'm not going to go through this in detail. There's tons of information here if you really want to read up on it. But there's a few basic things we do. I like to add a keyword in. So this would be flowers. Or actually, let's do kawaii. So that's our focus keyword. If you remember back in the list, we could do the article as a cornerstone content. We could set that here as well. Don't want to on this page. If I click up here, this is the snippet. So when I'm in Google and I do a search for, I don't know, let's do a search for Ford. It's trying to simulate the look we have right here. So the title, the URL, and then the description for the page. So this is where we can set the description. Right now, it just pulls the text that's here, and it doesn't look very good. So if I click on it, I can change it. They do give us the title. We'll leave this alone, but it's title, then the page, the separator, site name. Right here, title, then a separator, and the site name. Slug we're going to leave alone, but we can put in a description. We say something like this is the oh, can't spell. Huh. I want you to get in the habit of coming in here and at least setting this and pulling a keyword from your text. Then it will walk you through the analysis. And to be very honest, it's probably best that you read about all this. It's not always perfect. Sometimes you don't have a lot of copy. They're saying 300 words. Well, the about page may only have a few. It goes through everything, and at the bottom is our revisions. So these are all the revisions that have been made to this page. You can jump backwards and forwards in time if you want to, and we'll go over that in a second over here on the right. But one last word on Yoast SEO. We'll go through and set this, but it's good to read up on all of it. I can probably teach 3 or 4 weeks of just this plugin, but we have it, and let's use it to the at least bare minimum ability for us, and which is setting our meta description, making sure there's a keyword, and making sure it just looks good. That's much better than it was. So up on the right is our publish. We can always preview the change if we want. That way I don't have to publish it. I will click update because I want to show you what's happening. And I hit refresh. So our title, we have our welcome. There's the HR. This is code. This is just plain text. All right, so over here under publish, we have publish status. So a little earlier we talked about the pending review and draft. Draft just basically takes it offline, puts it in the draft folder. Pending review, if you have a lower status as a user, you can't post, then they go to draft review, and someone with a higher clearance, an administrator or maybe teacher or whoever you're working with, whoever you give access to. So it'd be coworkers. But the key is making sure that you, I don't want to say separate, but you set your user preferences to the correct one. So administrators, remember, have complete and total rights. They won't use pending review, just draft and published. But you have someone underneath, an editor, you want to make sure that you don't accidentally give them admin rights. You'll have to give them a lower level. They try posting something, they can still log in, they can get to the back end. But when they post, it goes to pending review. Visibility, we have public. We can make it password protected just for this page. This is not the whole website. So this would be password protected. Then you can send someone the password to log in. And private just means unless you have a login, you're not going to see this page. That wouldn't be to the public side of the house. So make sure this is public. Revisions, I'm going to click on Browse. This gives me all the revisions I've done. You can kind of see all the work that you can restore it. So if you made a bunch of changes and you went, oh no, I need to restore it from a week ago, you can come in here and pull that information. You can also compare, you can do next and restore. I'm going to go back to previous. Oops, sorry, return to editor. Then we have the publish date. So what day it was published on. Now the great thing with the publish date is you can turn things on in the future. So they'll pop up the day that they come due. So like say you're promoting a show but didn't want it to go out till next week, like to sell tickets or something, then you can set it up to pop up on Monday and it'll automatically do it. And also keep in mind that everything is set to the hierarchy of oldest to newest with this as well. So we have our page attributes. Oh, I'm sorry, duplicate page. That was a plugin that we installed. If I like what I've laid out here, which we will do for our posts, we'll build one out and then we'll duplicate that post over and over again. That way we don't have to copy, paste, rebuild. What we're doing is building kind of a template for the content, then we can duplicate that out. Readability is good. SEO needs improvement. That goes back down here. Once again, tons of information from Yoast for the plugin SEO. And it's worth taking a look at all of his stuff. Read through it. This can be a class in itself on how to build out your pages and do the SEO correctly. I do the bare minimum. I shouldn't say bare minimum. I try to get all the easy stuff done before we start publishing. All right, so now we have page attributes. We talked a little bit about the parent, either about or contact, what order they're in as well. Don't mess with this. I'll be really honest. Leave the order alone unless you really know what you're doing. But the parent for pages, I'm not going to set it up for this site. But if we wanted the welcome page to be under the about, we could set the about to be parent. Now that doesn't change our menu. The menu is driven, if you remember, we built it out in appearances. So keep that in mind. Post Explorator. This is something that WordPress does not ship with. This was a plugin that we installed in the last video. And what this allows us to do is turn off a page or post at a specific time. So if you had a website about music shows and you had a calendar and you're posting stuff, you want the old shows to be taken down so people don't find them. You can come in and do a post expiration on the year, the month, the day, hour, minute. You can set it for next week, and then you can either have it go to draft or delete or go to private. I usually like to keep it on draft. Now I'm not going to turn that on. Now a Pen Ninja form, I can pull up a form and have that show up at the bottom after the content. So it would show up here. So why would I do that? Maybe I have a form for signing up for a newsletter and I want it on every single page. We can do that. It'll insert it right after and it'll be down here at the bottom. Not going to do that. And then set featured image. So every page and post has an image that represents it. So if I go in and set the featured image for this, and I'm going to upload a file, and I have downloads for Flowers of Kauai photos. We're going to be using them in this this week's lesson, so those are able for download off the YouTube, and I'll also have it in any online class as well. So I come in here and do select file. I'm going to grab an image. So let's just grab this one, white flower. It uploads it. It gives us the URL and the title. So let's title this right. We'll call it white flower. No real caption for this, but let's do white flower. And description, this is a white flower. This is for us, not for the user. We can always replace this media. So if I came in here and clicked on upload a new file, I can choose a different one. So I'll just pick this one and just replace the file. If I click upload, and I go back to my pages, I can now set that. If you notice, it changed. So I can replace media without deleting and re-uploading. So I'm going to set this as the featured image. You'll see a thumbnail over here. I'm going to update it. Let's take a look. So you'll see whenever we put a featured image in, it puts it at the top of the page. It's the very first one that loads. Now I don't want that on my home page. We'll remove it. But this would also work for any of our plugins, and we use it for thumbnails. And let's say we had a page with all the articles, and we want to see each of the images. We would have to set the featured image for those. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to remove the featured image. I'm going to delete the text, so I'll just leave the welcome to Flowers of Kauai. Now I need some text, so I'm going to go and do a Google search for lorem ipsum. And the very first one here is all the facts, lorem ipsum generator. You can see it gives a whole history of it, but at the very bottom here, gives you paragraphs, start lorem ipsum. If I hit generate, it's going to give me text. So now I've got some stuff to put up on the website. I'll grab the first two paragraphs. Delete that. All right. And if I go back to my pages and I just hit paste. Oops. Nothing really happened. Brought it over, it's nice and clean. But if I went to another website, let's say CNN, and I copied and pasted from here and brought it over. Throw a return at the end, and I just did a paste, Command V. You'll notice it brought over the links, and if I had any images, it would bring them over because it would pull the image from the original website. It's like just inserting the URL. I like to host any of my own images, so I'll always upload and then embed. Same thing with the featured images. We upload and assign them. But this works if you want to keep all of the formatting. So I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use what I have here. I'll throw a return in here too. Click Update. Hit refresh. Oops. I lost my page. There we go. There we go. There's those 3 paragraphs. They're ready for some formatting. So first thing I'm going to do before I go through and start setting everything up is insert an image. And I want that image to align to the right so the text wraps on the left-hand side. So I'm going to place my cursor at the beginning of the first paragraph. I'm going to go to Add Media. And let's upload one of our other images here. Do the orange one, very first one. Anything will work. You'll upload it. Make it a habit to change the title. So I threw a description in there. I'm going to insert it into the post. You can see it didn't do much. Well, it's an alignment issue, so if I do align right, you'll see it got rid of any of the text near it, puts a nice little margin. I shouldn't say got rid of, it pushes it aside. I'll update it. Hit refresh. We now have our image here. Now I'm going to delete it. I'm going to reinsert it because the media never changes. It's still here. And this time I'm going to throw a caption in here because I want to show you what the caption does. So I put a caption in. I'm going to insert into the page. I'll do an alignment right. And you'll see orange flower and green background. So I'll update it. And now let's talk a little bit more about our formatting. If I wanted to make this first couple letters a heading, you'll notice it takes the whole paragraph. I did that on purpose because I wanted to show you if you want to make individual edits, it's really just the bold and italic, maybe adding in a text color. So anything you select and apply makes it much easier. On the coding side, everything else, it's nice and clean. But we can't change the font size. We talked about that earlier. All right, so I have all of my text in, made a little change here. I'm going to throw a horizontal rule, and I'll update. So now that we have some color in here, we really can't change the font sizes. Remember, we can go through these a little bit more here. We can clear the formatting if we don't want that in there. We have the bold, the italic, we did the color. We put in a horizontal line down here as well. We can indent. So if I wanted to indent this paragraph, I can indent a little bit. It's close as we have to a tab. And I'm going to throw a return in here. And we can quote text as well. the block quote. Now for the bullet list, you do have to put returns between each. So if I was going to do a list, I can put list and list. I'll decrease the indent. I can do a bullet list here or the numbered list as well. So most of this is pretty straightforward in terms of the formatting. All the formats are in here as well. We kind of went through this before with special characters. So we have a limited amount of formatting, and that's really because when we go and look at the site, most of our formatting is coming from the theme. So we have basic formatting here that gets applied based on the theme's cascading style sheet. So let's talk about a little bit more on the add media. So we went through and we added the featured image a little while ago. But now I want to talk about bringing in and placing a gallery. So we brought in a single image. And before we jump into that, if we want to have this image clickable and make it enlarge, this goes for any image here, we can go back in and click on Edit. And over here where it says Link To, so right now it's aligned to right. We have a caption, alt text. We can align left, center, or right. We've already done that. You can change the size of this image. So there's actually 4 sizes. We have a thumbnail size, a medium size, a large size, and then the original image. We can also put a custom size in. WordPress automatically creates all these different sizes. So they are different images. It resizes it. It's not the full 1200 by 900, and this is pixels. It actually created a 150 by 150, a 300 by 225, and an 840 by 630. But if I do link to, I can link to the media file. So what that does is it opens the original. Now, without the plugin that we installed, jQuery, where it opens up and does that nice kind of click-through overlay, it would just open in another window. Wouldn't look very good. We can also link to an attachment page. What that does is it links and opens up the image in the same layout. There's also custom URL, so if we wanted to link to another website, click on it, takes you to Google or anywhere else, you could do that, or none. So what I'm going to do is the media file. So it's going to link to the original media file. We can also edit, and remember the replace was from that plugin we installed earlier, but we can edit if we want to. There are some advanced options for CSS classes. You can open link in a new tab if you want to. That's up to you. If you want to play with them, they're here. I wouldn't mess with these. You can also put a title tag on it if you want to. But for the most part, you're not going to have these. That's where they're kind of hidden away. But if you do know what they are, if you want to change the cascading style sheet class, you can do that. But for most people, this is all you're going to need. I'm going to set the media file and update it. I'm going to click Update. I'm going to refresh the layout. We have our list here. Here's our image. Now when I float over it, and watch what happens when I click on it. It opens it up in that nice overlay. Not just an ugly window by itself. It puts up the information. We can close. You can click out here to close. But that jQuery plugin that we installed in a previous video adds this functionality. Without that plugin, it would just open up by itself in a window. Or it would just be the image. It wouldn't have this nice overlay. So that's what that plugin does for us. So now let's talk about creating a gallery down here at the bottom. So I have a return after my HR tag, my ruler. And if I come up under Add Media, I'm going to do Create Gallery. And I need to upload some files. So I'm going to upload. And these are the flower all of the flower images. Now I don't need the first one, may not need the others, but I import them all at one time. We'll click Open. And you'll notice we have little check marks in the ones that we're uploading. Whoops, we got this one twice. But you can upload the same image twice, it just changes the name. Didn't need to upload that one, but we'll leave it alone. I can always delete it, which actually is a good exercise. I can click on it and delete permanently. And then if I want to add these, I can just click on any of them. They're all check marked. I would also, whoops, I didn't click, that's a duplicate too, but oops, oh well. Well, actually, I'm going to remove it. No reason to have duplicates in here. So it was good to keep things cleaned up. So I have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images, now 6 selected. If we had more, we have a ton of images in here. You can search by images, uploaded, unattached, by what date they've been uploaded. You can also search the media too. But I like these images, so I'm going to do create a new gallery. We could put captions on them. You can also rearrange these, so maybe I want the orange one first. I want the flowers first and then the others last. You can reverse the order. You can link to, and we want to link to the media file, not the page. So the same thing, that's why I went over that linking a minute ago with the image. How many columns for the thumbnails? So 3 across, you can do 4, 2, or 1. I think 3 will look good because we have 6, so we'll have 3 and 3. And the size of these is the thumbnail. You could use larger images if you want to. I think the thumbnails work perfect for this because it's a gallery, click, and it opens up the bigger image. You can also add to the gallery. We can add more media if we needed to. And I can always go back to edit gallery. You can cancel. I don't want to, but I'm going to insert the gallery now. Now it brought over that caption because I had put it in there. If I want to get rid of it, I can, if you notice, I clicked on the gallery and I clicked edit, so we can always come back. I can remove it from there and update the gallery. So I'm going to update it and let's take a look at it. Now there are other plugins that add more gallery functions, very advanced galleries, but I find with the jQuery plugin and the basic layout that the gallery function does for WordPress, it makes for a very pretty gallery. If you notice I click, it takes you to the next one, tells you 6 to 7 images. You can pause it or close it. Now if you're getting resized images, I made a slight change in the plugins. When we installed the plugin originally, under image widget, or sorry, not image widget, sorry, jQuery color box under settings, I had you set this, I think, to 75% under the maximum width of the color box. I need you to set these as don't set any height, no width, and change maximum width to 100% and maximum height to 100%. That was a mistake I made. It's been a little while since I played with the plugin, but that needs to be done. So under your settings, you can go jQuery color box or through the plugins and go to the settings, but you need to change maximum width to 100%, maximum height to 100. Then these two need to be set to do not set the width. That was a mistake I made. I caught it a little earlier when I was doing my dry run, and I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you. So we have our page, our home page. It's kind of a mess, but it has formatting on it now. We got some fake content, and I'm just going to grab my lorem ipsum because I think I closed the window, just so I have some text for the other pages. So let's go and take a look at our other pages and finish these up before we go into the next video, which is going to be about posts. So we have the welcome page done. Let's talk about the about. This one's going to be pretty easy. We don't really have much to put on here. So I'm going to do an edit, paste and match style, or I can do paste as text. That just brings it over as plain text with no formatting. If I didn't do that and I just pasted, look what happens. It brought over all the formatting. So I'm going to do paste and match style. And really I'm just going to keep that first paragraph here. I'll place my cursor in front of about, but for this one, let's be consistent. I think we set it as header 1 on the home page. So heading 1. I'll place my cursor. I'm going to do add media. And let's just pick a flower. This one looks good. I'm going to insert. I'll align to right. And we have a nice image there. Now if I wanted to open up, someone clicks on it, they get the bigger image. We go to edit, link to, media file. And I really should do an alt text. should be white flower. That's just good practice. Then I'm going to look at my snippet preview doesn't look that great, so we need to fix that. I'll click on it. And we'll say something like all about the flowers of Kauai. We are a site that tracks all of the flowers and other plants that grow on Kauai. The slug is about focus keywords. I'm going to put Kauai in here. That's the keyword I am. And this could be a cornerstone content for our site because it's about what this site is. Now, I didn't do that great of a job with the writing, but I should write a very good description about everything about this site. This is my sales pitch. So I am going to set this as the cornerstone content. You don't have to. I'm not going to set a featured image. Don't need to put any attributes on this, so I'm going to update it. I go to About, and we have our About page. So our last one is Contact, and we are going to do a contact form on this one. So I'll go to my pages again. I'll go to Contact. And for this one, same thing. I threw a return in there. I'll say maybe something like email us at y.com or by phone at, and then we'll put a form in here. But before we do that, let's get our formatting down. So we'll do this as a heading 1. And we're going to set this link right up here under Insert Edit Link. And you'll notice it creates a mail to flowers at flowersofkauai.com. That's HTML for when someone clicks on this, it'll open up their either Gmail or Outlook or whatever their email client is. Whoops. If you notice what I just did there, I didn't set or apply it. Now it's set. I'll make the phone number bold as well. And then I'll put a return in. And actually, I usually like to do the SEO before I jump into anything else. So under the contact, there it is, contact Flowers of Kauai. Email us at That's fine. You may put contact in here for the focus keyword. Now we need to put a form in. And so Ninja Forms has a pre-built contact form. If we click Add Forms, we can insert the Contact Us. It's already built in, ID number 1, and I'll insert it. This puts in a shortcode, ninja_form ID = 1. So this is a very easy way to add more content to a layout that's plugin driven. And also there's other shortcodes we can use as well. So for this one, what it does is it says go into Ninja Forms, find it in the database, look for the number 1 or ID number 1, and pull over that data and embed it. So all we have to do on this page is embed this short code. And let me update. And let's take a look at our contact page now. So we get contact Flowers Kauai, there's my email, my phone number. It's blue and underlined because I use Google Voice, so I can call if I wanted to on this. But then under Contact Us, fields marked with a fields marked with an asterisk are required. We have a name, email, zip. I added this in actually when I was doing my dry run, and I added in the anti-spam. So you should just have name, email, and message. If I want to change these, I don't go to the page. What I do is I go to Ninja Forms. It's going to load up the forms. Here's Contact Us. There's the short code, the date it was created. If I click on it, before I do that, actually, we can add new forms. So if I need a form on a different page that does something different, I can add it in. I can also do sidebars. If I create one, we can insert it into the sidebar as a widget. Apps and integration, there's all kinds of stuff here. You actually have to pay for these usually, but there is a lot of stuff we can connect with this. If you notice, PDF submissions, Insightly, Vimeo uploader, Constant Contact, Salesforce. This has a ton of connections. Then we also have memberships. So if you want to expand and do everything it could do in 1 year, it costs money. That's how they make their money on it. But for what we're doing, it does everything for free. All we're doing is building simple forms. But if you want to get into some very complex forms, you can do that. Now, the reason I like this is I clicked on Contact Us, and this is the layout. So we have name, email. I'm actually going to remove zip. Whoops. If you float over, you can hit the little delete key here. And I'm going to get rid of the anti-spam for now. So this is what you would have as well. You have name, email, message, and submit. You can edit these or copy them. So if I want to duplicate it, but if you want to edit, we already did trash, this will show us a single line text, label, where the position of the label is, so name, it shows up above it. Is it required? And we can put restrictions. So there's a lot of different ways to restrict the type of data that gets put into here. We have display. You can do some custom stuff. You can do help text and put a description in. Help text would be something like, please put your name here. In administration, you could do some admin labels and field keys when they come in, but the field key really it's a unique key identifier. So if we need to pull from a database, it's all there. It gets put in a database, we need to pull from it, we're putting it on there. Now most of this you don't need to worry about. Like email is labels email above. There's some advanced stuff, but this one's pretty straightforward. It knows it has to be an email that you put in there. The message is just a paragraph text, and then submit. You can put a label in for when it's working. So emails and actions, this will save it to the database, and I'll show you that in a minute. We can actually pull up anyone that's submitted through this form in our database. It says a success message. This is the message that shows up after the form is submitted. So form submitted successfully, confirmation email was sent to whatever, field email, so it's pulling from that email, and please call us if you have any other questions. I put that in my dry run. Email confirmation from me. So it says your submission confirmation on Flowers of Kauai. We could put something in here that says, like, thank you for filling out our form. And then all fields below it. So the to is the email, the reply to. We can put in, whatever email you want people to reply to. So if someone hits reply. So this is what the user gets saying you submitted. I'll hit done. And then email notification is what you get. So it gets sent to the system email, reply to their email, and then a new message from their name gets put in here, and then all of the information. So that's the code that comes over. So pretty straightforward. Out of the box, it does a lot of great stuff. I could probably spend another entire class time just talking about this plugin. So everything looks good. We'll publish it. I'll close it. And I am going to submit something. Now, sometimes there is a little bit of a delay. You can notice I have to refresh. And that's because we have a plugin that's caching the site. So if that happens and you can't get it to kick over, if you go to WP Super Cache under Settings, caching is on. If I delete the cache, it wipes it out. And now I should have, there we go. So what happened was, like every 5-10 minutes, the site caches it, and some of the changes don't always get updated. So if you know you made a change and you can't get it to kick over, that's where you need to go. Settings, WP Super Cache, and wipe that out. Delete cache. So I'm going to go back now to Ninja Forms because I want to show you what happens when I submit. Oh, here's the little help. Remember I put that in. Please put your name here. So my name, my email, and I'll click submit. So now it's processing, and the form was submitted successfully. A confirmation email was sent to my email. I'm going to get two because I'm also the admin, and I am going to go and show you what the email looks like if I can type today. Went to spam. Sometimes that happens. We'll just look at it here. So this is what I got, Great Flower Site from me. And then this is what gets sent to the person. Thank you for filling out our form. And I would expand on this a little bit. But you can see we got both emails. Let's get rid of those real quick. But more importantly, if I go into my submissions and go to Contact Us, it will show me all the submissions that have happened. I can edit, I can pull this up. Instead of just having an email go, this plugin actually puts all the information into the database too. So it does a good job. It's exactly what we needed. I'll be honest, we can do a lot more with it, but for a Contact Us page, it's perfect, out of the box, quick, easy, and now you have the power to actually do a lot more with forms. So we have all of our pages finished. In our next video, we're going to go through and create our posts and fill out the rest of these pages, and we're going to do our sidebar as well. And then we'll be getting pretty close to the end. There's a few more little things that we'll need to do and clean up, but it's exactly what we would be looking for a final project. One last thing too, on the posts, just think about them as articles, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video, but I want to make sure you start thinking the difference between the pages, which we talked about at the beginning, and then the posts. And that is it.